Uh, Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for coming. I'll be sharing with you on climate change and the sustainable management of taro leaf blight in the western highlands of Cameroon. In brief, I'll show you, many of you may not know where Cameroon is found. Then we'll talk about the crop and the diseases. I give talk of the materials and the methods, the results and the discussion, then we'll conclude. Briefly, this is Cameroon, the Gulf of Guinea, and the Western Highland is this part here, the Northwest and the West region. I was actually delivered somewhere here in the Northwest, close to Nigeria, and the University of Chang is 45 kilometers from Bafoussam in the West region. Its Western Highlands is also known as the grass field, because this is where you have a grassland in Cameroon. Cameroon is also some few things to know about Cameroon. It's a bilingual country, apart from Canada, where we speak English and French officially. We have a growing population, and we're internationally known for soccer. Last year, the interim president of FIFA was from Cameroon. He has been organizing African soccer for more than 29 years before handing over. So we have also been known for a lot of peace compared to other African nations where you might have been reading all the days about wars. Maybe we have not had coup d'etats and the civil wars like other countries. With the United States, we collaborate a lot in education. A good example is the Fulbright that brought me here to K-State, home-free programs. We collaborate a lot in health. The CDC is in Cameroon, where they're working a lot on malaria, HIV/AIDS. We collaborate also in national security because the Boko Haram in the north and the rest. So in climate change issues, I would like to share with you a number of visible signs that we may not go into details today. Cypress has been used as an ornamental in my country, but last year we just noticed most of them were drying up. We talk of rinder pest on small ruminants, caterpillar invasions on some species of plants, droughts. Yesterday when I called home, they said there was no water to drink in many places, but these are the same streams that I was enjoying when I was young. Cocoa dieback, because Cameroon is the fourth producer of cocoa in the world, and the cocoa dieback is just making many trees to die. I think the first research results will be coming up soon. They are looking on that. Taro leaf blight of recent, potato lead blight outbreak, we have had cases like that, and malaria and river blindness. From the normal issues, we have a lot of new cases coming up. So about taro, I'd like to say we refer to cocoyam in my country, talking of the taro and the macabo. So there's different. The main difference is you see the taro here. You can have a lot of varieties, a lot of cultivars, changes in color. But the taro called colocasia has a leaf that is closed, while macabo, xanthosoma, has this open leaf. Those are the main differences. So these two species play an important role in food security in Cameroon. And it also assists some farmers to generate income where they grow in large quantities. And it has cultural values. If you organize a meeting for Cameroonians, there are important things like water fufu and achu, that's pounded cocoyam, that plays is an important part of our society. If you have twins or a very important ceremony, they will expect to have it. So taro is grown in a mixed cropping system with coffee or cocoa. So when the man owns the tree crops for himself, he sells without maybe giving a lot of accounts to the wife. The lady will content herself with the taro that was underneath. So it gives some balance because everybody will come back from the market with something to take care of himself. It also has medicinal values in my country. Taro leaf blight was discovered a century ago in Asia. It has never been a problem. until 2010, when yield losses of up to 100% were recorded in some fields and an average of 80% for the whole country. At least 400,000 tons of taro tubers were lost, and an estimated $117 million was lost in a single year. When I talk of $117 million to the United States, maybe it's chicken change, as we call it, but to a growing economy where 48% of the population live on less than $1 a day, that is like, wow, it's too much. So the consequences of this 80% loss was that the small taro you had was sold 3 times the initial price or compared to the preceding year. And consumers could not afford this amount. We are forced to look at other cultivars of taro, which were fed to animals, because we have maybe tens of cultivars. So they look at the other cultivars that were mostly fed to animals for consumption. So when they pound it, it's not palatable enough for to be used or for cultural values. What happens is that other root crops had to become more expensive. Examples are yams, macabo, sweet potatoes, and banana. Their prices became very expensive in the market. And following these stories of maybe it was some witchcraft, we don't know what happens. So there were a lot of rumors in the streets. Some farmers were afraid to even consume the small quantity they harvested, and they abandoned all their fields. After a dry spell in 2010, the inicula was actually transported over long distances. Many farmers account that they had a lot of white dust that settled on the farms, and this was like the source of the inoculum that came maybe across from Nigeria, because the first articles that came up were from Ghana and Nigeria before we had the issue in Cameroon. So this, therefore, is one of the highest disease outbreaks that West and Central African countries have faced in the last decades, caused by the climate change. However, no sustainable solutions have been proposed to the farmers. The aim of these studies were to look at sustainable management strategies for taro leaf blight, and the specific objectives were to assess the effect of fungicide applications on the taro leaf blight severity and the effect of planting dates on taro leaf blight severity. So for fungicide, for the material and methods, we did first some trials on fungicide application, and the fields where experiments were conducted in Chang in 2012. A randomized split plot design was used with 2 factors, that's the fungicide and the cultivar, with 3 replicates. 2 morphologically distinct taro cultivars were used. All appropriate cultural practices were followed. For the fungicide applications, we initiated the first spray from the first appearance of the symptoms of the disease. What was very peculiar in our work compared to what many other farmers and researchers did was the application of polyfix, which helped to adhere the fungicide to the leaf of the taro, knowing the slimy, the oily surfaces of the plant. So plots were sprayed on the 7, 14, 21, and 28 day schedule, while the control were left unsprayed. And there was a protective screen between the sprayed and the unsprayed plots. Disease severity was caught weekly from the first foliar symptoms. Values of standardized area under disease progress curves were calculated from the severity data according to the formula suggested by Campbell and Madden, as shown. So economic analysis were conducted for cost and returns for each fungicide spray on each cultivar. For the planting date, 7 morphologically distinct varieties were planted. We separated them using the leaf blade, the petiole color, the color of the stain of the petiolar junction, the form of the rhizome lateral tubers, duration of the cycle, and the number of tubers per plant. We looked also at the yields per hectare. Manual weeding was conducted from the 30th day after planting, a 30 days interval. 2 insecticide sprays were used, and the main insect that we were trying to treat was Tyrophagus propescin, the cicadella. There are a number of insects, but this was the main one that actually punctured the petiola, and it will make the leaf to fall, which will reduce the photosynthetic capacity of the plant. So we did the first planting in December, which is dry season in my country, and the second planting was 3 months later, when the farmers normally plant their diseases, plant their crops. And what we thought was that if you grow the plant maybe early before the normal season, the plant can grow and become more mature than the cycle of the pathogen. That was our reasoning. So we followed the same cultural practices. For the fungicide, we had a significant difference between all the sprayed and the unsprayed plots. And one thing that was also peculiar was that when we did the economic returns for the different spray regimes, we saw that a monthly application of fungicide was enough to manage the diseases. And the economic, the rates of return was 13.78% on the most susceptible variety and 6.63% on the less susceptible variety. So others could have had, let's say the disease reduction could have been higher, but applying pesticides every week on the environment can also be overload at a moment when people are avoiding pesticides, and may not also be a good agricultural practice. For the planting date, we noticed that the most susceptible variety gave us a difference of 74.5%. This is the standard area under the disease progress curve. The susceptible variety, we had 74.5, which was very high, compared to 34.84. So if you plant it during the dry season, the diseases actually, the plant is attacked towards the end of the cycle when you are about to harvest, and the number of leaves affected will be low, and the number of tubers that will end up being infected will be so low. So you end up having very good yields, and the rate of return, when we consider that we needed a motor pump, and we calculated the cost of having a motor pump in our condition to bring the water, we considered all those factors, we had a rate of return of 11.29 investment returns. And in a community where a majority live on less than $1, knowing that you can get a loan from the bank, and in 7 months, you have that amount 11 times. For us, it was a lot of money. Generally, taro is cultivated under rain-fed conditions, and taro is cultivated, let's say, mostly for household consumption. But through these studies, we saw that the yields were higher than those reported in many countries like China, in Ghana, and in Nigeria. Secondly, we saw that farmers could engage into commercial production of the crop for our country and for export in many other countries which produce less. Examples like Gabon, Central African Republic, Democratic Republic of Congo, and the rest that consume food from Cameroon. In conclusion, we can say that taro leaf blight can be managed effectively using fungicide application and early planting period. Fungicide application on taro can limit taro leaf blight, leading to yield increases of up to 74%. And for planting date, disease severity was higher in the rainy season compared to the dry season. At this juncture, I'd like to say thanks, and my country will say merci in French, and in the dialect you have many other ways of saying it. Thank you.